For the invitation. It was kind of fun to realize that I am able here to speak to you, especially when I was seeing that the topic was minimal. At first I was afraid because I thought it was the music direction minimal, and I have no idea about it. But other than that, I consider myself a minimalist because it's actually what my mother always has told me. She always said that Stefan is a minimalist. My dad said he's lazy. They couldn't agree on it, but I like to call myself a minimalist because it seems like you're having kind of a plan, know what you're doing, and that really helps in calming down people like your parents or other friends that are going along in your way. So I like the topic, and I'm glad that I'm able to tell you about this today. Other than this, I think that this is there what are you? What are you? Are you designers? Who considers himself a designer in this room? A developer? What is there? Photographer? Okay. Anything else that you think that's something different? So what is it?
Psychologist.
Sorry?
Psychologist.
Psychologist, okay.
Consultant.
Consultant.
Painter.
Painter.
Musician.
Musician.
Engineer.
Okay. Engineer. Okay. So I think that we can all agree on the fact that it has to do with creativity, because that's every time a human being does something creates something, that's about creativity. So I think that's the baseline. So it's not about design, and I really think that minimalism it can be applied to design, so that you have simple forms, simple graphics and stuff like this. But for me it's something different, and it goes in a different direction. But before I dive into this topic more, I want to tell you a short story, just because I like the story so much, and I think it's something that's yeah. I'm just telling the story, and then let you draw your own conclusions. I wrote this story in a book by John Bouquet. He is a psychologist and a writer, and I'm telling you the story right now as if I were him experiencing it. When I was a little child, I really loved to go to the circus. And there was one thing that I loved in particular, and those were the animal shows. And my favorite animal of all, as I've later realized, the favorite animal of most small childs was the elephant. The elephant show is all about the power of the elephant, its massiveness, its strength, and all of this. And I really enjoyed this. And after the show, I realized that in the background, the elephant was tied to the ground with a rope and a stick in the ground. And even for me as a child, I was able to realize that the stick could never hold the elephant back. So why is it that the elephant doesn't just free himself and run away? And I was wondering. And back then, when I was a child, I was still thinking that grown-ups are smart people. And so I asked my parents, I asked my uncle, I asked their friends, and no one of them really knew why the elephant wasn't moving around, why he wasn't freeing himself. But one of them told me that that's because the elephant is tame. So my question was, so if he's tame, why do we even need to bind him to the ground? No one knew the answer to that, and I kind of forgot about the elephant when I grew up. But later in my life, I met a lot of like-minded people. People that were asking the same questions like me. People who were thinking about the same things like me. And one of them told me that the reason why the grown-up elephant doesn't free himself is because as soon as he's born, maybe a few days after he's born, he's already tied to the ground. He's tied to the stick and to the rope. And when he's born, he's a lot smaller, and he doesn't have the strength. He really tries to push and to pull and to free himself. And maybe when I close my eyes and I try to imagine how this elephant pushes and pulls all day long and tries to free himself, and doesn't make it. And maybe he falls asleep at night, exhausted, just to wake up the other day or the next day to try it again to free himself. Doing this days, weeks, months, maybe years in a row, until one day, a sad day in the history of our elephant, he accepted his fate. I'm not able to free myself. I'm bound to the ground. And that's how it is. But the really sad thing about it, I have to fight, is that the elephant since then has never really tried again to free himself. I'm a little confused right now. It wasn't planned like this. It worked out better when I was rehearsing this thing on the balcony this morning. But the reason it moves me is because a lot of friends of me, or of mine, are experiencing this. And I myself am experiencing it. And what I want to do today is, this is a sad story, I realize. What I want to do today is take the story, tell you a few other stories, and maybe show you how minimalism can help you lead a better life. And as I've promised in the teaser on the Facebook page, I want to show you, I want you to learn how to stop worrying and start loving whatever it is you're doing. And the moment I realized that this is a very crazy promise and I could probably never ever keep it, I started worrying. So, and if it wasn't my problem right now, I would probably laugh about the irony in this. But okay, that's how it is. And the thing is, you can't really, it's impossible to live a life without fear, without doubts, without worries. It's impossible. Maybe some Zen Buddhists already know how to live worry-free lives, but most of us don't live in a temple meditating all day long and have this power to be mindful all the time. But what we can do is that the moment we worry about something, the moment fear arises in us, we can realize it, we can look at it, and we can see it for what it is. But more on this a little later. So, what is minimalism really? I'd say it's a philosophy, and it's a philosophy of life. I guess that every philosophy is about life, but it sounds more important when I say it like this. It's a philosophy of life. But don't worry, I have this problem of always, I'm telling people what to do, because that's kind of I don't know what it is. It is a pattern that I do a lot. So I'm not going to tell you what to do with your life or what to change or anything. I just want to tell you some stories of my life, of our experience as Simplice, because this is really the last 5 years. Since we work with this company, and the last 6.5 years since I'm with Greta, my girlfriend, my life has changed a lot. I think my dad doesn't call me lazy anymore. He doesn't call me a minimalist either, but that's not the thing. So what I want to do is I want to tell you 3 stories. I hope I can make it in time. Today at the balcony it lasted an hour. I hope I can go faster right now. So I keep on moving. The first story is about, that's what I want to go to this side once again, just to show it like this. We were working with a startup in Graz, a tech startup. And it was a really big project, and we kind of came into it as, hey guys, we have this thing, we want you to write a usability study about our product. And we were talking to them, and pretty fast we realized that what you need is not a study about your product, what you need is a better design. You need people who really think about the thing you're doing, and who really try to make something that's great. It's not really useful to write a 30-page document. So, can we, instead of, the money was allotted, so instead of spending this money on writing a paper, wouldn't it be great if we would just working on your product, and kind of we've convinced them about it, and it really worked well. And we, as always in big projects, we wanted to start with a research phase. So that's like, we want to make stakeholder interviews, that's interviewing everyone who's working on the project. We want to do user research, interviewing a lot of people. We want to make personas, we want to make context scenarios, we want to make everything as it's in the book. And a few weeks into this, we were realizing that it happens again. It has already happened in another project where we really tried to make our work as great as we could possibly do, but we've already realized that this project will never be great. There won't be a super product at the end of the day. I mean, we can do it just like, hey, here's our to-do list, we've done everything. If you're not on time, if you're doing the wrong thing, that's your problem. But we didn't want it to do it anymore. We wanted, I mean, what is it? If I'm working in my own company and I cannot do something that's meaningful, why should I work in my own company? I mean, I could work anywhere. So we said that, hey, we've made about 50% of what we've promised to you, but guess what? We don't want to do the other 50%. Instead of doing it, we just throw it all away and let's make a workshop. Let's meet all together, the team, and talk about the things that are really important for this. We're always talking about the what and the how, but have we ever talked about the why? Why we are building this product? Why we are doing this? Is there any purpose in this? Because I don't see it. And I have this slide to remind me of the story, because back then the presentation we made for them was called There's an Elephant in the Room. And there kind of were a lot of elephants in the room, and I guess there are always a lot of elephants in all the rooms that you're entering, and elephants in the rooms are basically, you know there is this thing you need to talk about, and you don't do it. Because it's uncomfortable, you don't like to talk about it, and you say, it's not that bad. So that's the thing, and I want to say that for me minimalism, as I've mentioned before, is not the simple graphics, it's not the circles and the squares and whatever. For me minimalism is you realizing there is this one thing you need to do it. And this is something every human being can do. We're always so confused with what the future will be like, and the past was so complicated that there's so many things we need to consider and do. But basically, if you really take this concept of minimalism, all you have to do is focus on now. Focus on this moment and realize there is this one thing I need to do now. I didn't know it 5 minutes ago. Maybe I didn't even promise you something else 5 minutes ago. But if it's not the right thing to do right now, don't do it. That's minimalism. That's reduction, thoughtful reduction in my opinion. So minimalism is about doing what you think is the right thing to do right now. It's the first story. Second story is, I was thinking about this morning. I don't want to mention the company because it's really not so important, the brand name, and I don't want to, we signed NDAs and stuff, and I'm not sure what I can tell you about it. So I'm going to tell you the story without the names and without this. We were, Marcus and I, were teaching in the University of Applied Sciences in Salzburg. It was called Interface Cultures or Interaction, something. Crazy course names, no one knew them. We googled the terms. I think they invented it there in Salzburg, I don't know. We did what we always do, we go there and tell stories. So it doesn't matter. And there was this one student who later, when he graduated from school, about a few months later, he was freelancing with this company. And he did a lot of work with them. And he kind of told them, seemed like he told them that there is these companies in Blees and they do all the stuff with design and usability, and I think you would be a great match. They could help you with the stuff you're doing. So we were invited by this company, we drove there, and yeah, we've prepared some slides as we always do, because we don't want to go there and just listen to what they say and then say, yeah, great idea, and we'll go and do this with you. We always want to check out, are we a good match? Can we work together? Do you believe in the same things that we believe? Do you have any values in what you're doing? And we want to make sure that this works, because again, minimalism in agency life, although I hate the term agency and I refuse to call us agency on our website because I think the term is misleading, but working with clients is really, it's not about talking to a client and saying, hey, your idea is great, we're going to do this, and getting as many clients as you can possibly get, but picking the 1, 2, 3 right clients of the hundreds that are out there. Because in the long run, this is what will pay off. Pleasing every client is something everyone can do. And if something can be done by everyone, you will never get paid a lot for it. So you have to work more and more and more and have work crazy 40, 60, 80 hours a week just to end up, I don't know, having a burnout or anything like this. And that's the key thing that makes me shaking. So it's really picking the right ones. And we were there, and we were talking to them, and we really had a great conversation and stuff like this. But when they had, we also told them that you as a big company have a very big problem. Because whenever you talk to an agency, they will always say that your ideas are great. Because if they would say that your ideas is not great, there would be no project for them. So that's kind of you're in big trouble as a big company. So we were telling this to them, but it didn't work out. We were saying, okay, it was a great conversation, but nothing really happened. A few weeks later, we got a call from the same employee who said that, hey, we're doing a pitch. And we were like, pitch? I don't know. Pitches are kind of not the cool thing to do. But okay, what exactly do you want us? Do you want us? Yeah, we want to make this website. We want to make a big redesign, and we would like you to present some ideas that you have for the website, maybe some screens and this and that. And we said, yeah, we're driving by, but we won't prepare anything. Is this okay for you? Yes, I guess. I don't know. Marcus was calling on the telephone. It wasn't my thing to do. So I don't know exactly what she said, but we got the date anyway, and we were driving there, and it's a completely different story. But we were there, and we presented our ideas because we had some ideas. We had a proposal with numbers on it, so it wasn't that we're not ignorant guys who are just driving somewhere and say, hey, here are the superstars, where is the money and stuff like this. It's not like that, but we didn't want to prepare anything for them, so we didn't want to sell our ideas up front. And what they said was that it was interesting, blah, 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 and they sent us out in the back door, because in the front door the other agency was coming, so we don't meet, but the guy said, hey, that's way faster, you can go down there, so that we don't realize that they're doing it like this. But that's a pitch, I guess. And when we were home a few days later, we got an email from one of the people in this room, where he said, you really had a very interesting presentation. You kind of turned the way around. We were thinking about this whole project, but you know what? We have this other agency, and they are giving us exactly what we wanted in the first place. And since the time frame is very, very small, we're going to do it with this. But thank you anyway. So I'm not sure if this was a polite way of saying fuck off, or if it was really like, hey, this was really great, but didn't work. So again, the same company. We just don't come together. It seems like this, it doesn't really work. And it was because we were saying no in a way that we say, when they have an idea, we don't give it to them. But again, a few weeks later, we got an email from another employee of this company. And he was saying, hey, we kind of heard from this employee that you have some great ideas about design and usability. And you know what? As almost any company on this planet that is doing something digital, we have a lot of problems with design and usability. Can't you come over and tell us your ideas? And again, we were in the car driving there, and we prepared again something, and we were talking to them, and this time it fit. We've met the right people. We were talking about it, and they were stunned by the way how we presented what we've done with other customer clients, and they really we have to work together. And since then we've done several projects with this company, with this big brand, and we're so proud to work with. And it was because we were saying no, and then it happened. Not because we were going that we need this project, it's this big company, and if we don't do it, so the thing is, minimalism is then also about choosing. Saying no to a lot of things so you can really say yes to the one thing. The third story is, this is in the bike shop of Bernhard Kohl in Vienna. Bernhard Kohl, maybe some of you know him, he's a former cyclist, Austrian cyclist. I think he finished third or second in Tour de France 2008. And then he got catched because he doped. So he had to stop his professional career, and he started this company, this business in Vienna. And somehow Matthias, another Simplice member, was, I don't know how it, do you know how it happened? I kind of forgot the story how it all started.
They've met before and he just called me.
You just called him by
bike shop, please.
Yeah, we have this bike shop and no idea how to run a business. Could you please make us a website? And we were, yeah! We can make websites. I mean, the semester is almost done and we will have a lot of tests, but yeah, we're gonna make this. And since then 5 years have passed, or 4.5 years, and we're still working with him together. He's our first client, and if it wasn't for him, Simplice would have died 3 years ago. So we were really lucky to work with him, because we could make a lot of projects. And the very interesting thing about this is, for example, one story, he once asked us, hey, we need this tool on our website where people can just say that they want to repair their bike, and so that we have the dates from people and everything is more streamlined. And the initial thing, I think some people might do, I don't know if it's really right, but it would be, hey, yes, the client says he wants, the client gets exactly what he wanted. But when we said, hey, what do you want? It doesn't sound very smart. Can you please explain how you really want to do this? And then we realized, he has troubles with in his garage with the mechanics, because they were writing down on paper when people are going for their bikes and something like this, and a lot of stuff went wrong. And so what we did was really, we were there in Vienna, in the shop, talking to all the employees, asking them, letting us show how to work with a bike, how to repair it, to realize what's the job that they are really doing, and then we built the software for them. In the end, we've made a lot more money than with the tool that just people signing up on the website, but again, it was like just asking, is this really the right thing to do? I mean, it's the thing, yes, he asked us to do it, but is it really the right thing? And why I'm telling you the story is because it's kind of crazy, because it's also what my mom has always told me, and Greta also says this a lot when she introduces me to a friend of her. Don't bother if he doesn't talk too much. He's a very shy person and an introvert, and so it's not against you. It's just that's his thing. He's like this. And you see, the crazy thing here is that this 5 or 6 years, I really it changed me in a way. I'm still, when I'm entering this room, I don't know where to go. I sit down here. I go, thankfully someone is talking to me, so I'm not looking like an outsider. So I'm still not good at I'm getting better. But last weekend was easier, because there was this Formula 1 race on the Austrian ring, and with beer I'm better. But it kind of also works a little better right now normally. And that's the crazy thing, because you are not the person you are right now forever, for the rest of your life. Change is the only constant we have in our life, so things can really change. And I always hated this question. I mean, maybe it's better to reframe it. What do you want to do with your life? That's what you hear early on. And the moment you grow up, it's kind of more like, what do I want to do with my life? What's my dream job? When will I finally, should I take this job, or should I make it this, or something like this? And I really say, don't care about it. Because when I started studying, I wanted to become a 3D artist. I wanted to make, this Gnarl Sparkly video, it's crazy, I was stunned by the effects of this video. I tried to reproduce them in Photoshop, because it was the only tool I had back then. And I wanted to make the same video for our band, because if we had this video, although the music sucked, we would be the superstars. And so that was my dream. When I was at the university in Graz, I realized that the first time we opened the 3D program, I hate this. It sucks. I mean, all the others liked it, but That's not, I don't like it. So, the only source of knowledge is experience. I like to quote Albert Einstein because suddenly everything you say sounds so smart and like the right thing. So I have to do this. And I think what's really important here is to know that you have to try something to know if you like it or not. You can't just, we all live out of these expectations of our life that this is who I am. Maybe I'm an introvert, or I'm an extrovert, or I like soccer, or I like programming, or I like this, or I like that. And we think that we need to do more of this in the future so that we will finally be happy in 50 years, or hopefully a little bit sooner. But actually all we need to do is do something and then see if we like it, because that's the only way it actually works. It can't work the other way around. So, those were the 3 stories. So I got the elephant story, I got the 3 stories, I was talking about Einstein. So now I can move on with just a few ideas to wrap this all up. And maybe some, I don't know, some ideas for Q&A later on, just to get it started somehow. So it's really quick. One thing I was reading in a book, I forgot the author's name and I was too lazy to look it up. It was so relieving for me to read this. It's like that all our fears and all our anxieties, and I don't know if this is a word, all our fears are based in evolution. Because back then, 200,000 years ago, when human beings with the same brain that we have today, more or less, were living in a world, it was a dangerous world. When you went to bed at night, it wasn't like today in your comfy hotel room or in your in your basement or anywhere. It was really, you were sleeping out there, and any other second there could be a saber-tooth or anything and just go over and kill you. So feeling fear, being afraid of something, was really very useful for us, and it's the reason why we live today. It was our mind, our intelligence, and the ability to fear, to be afraid of something, that we've survived. But now look at us. I don't see any saber-tooths around. There are no grizzly bears in the city, at least I don't know of them, or if they are in the zoo, so we really don't have to be afraid anymore. So what do? We overcompensate because we don't need this fear anymore. We start worrying. We start these doubts about our life. But yeah, but I need to do it because next month I need to pay my rent, and so and the same thoughts are repeating again and again and again and again. And we're in a bad mood because we're compensating this lack of fear that we don't need anymore for survival. And what he was saying in this book is, hey, realize this. Sit down, or stand straight, or do whatever you want to do. Take a deep breath, and realize you're not dying right now. And I was like, yes! I'm not dying right now. And now, because these thoughts come again and again and again, these negative thoughts, every night, maybe not every night, but they come repeatedly. And whenever I'm really in a bad mood, I'm like, but I'm not dying right now. And that's really something, that's useful. And I like it a lot. So, another thing is, money is a tool. People, human beings are tool builders. And if you think about money, it doesn't exist for very long, maybe a few hundred years, maybe a few thousand, I'm not sure. It wasn't this day that, hey, today we have money invented. It kind of happened. And we still need to know that money is really a tool. It's not the goal to have a lot of money or anything. It's just we need money to survive because we first invented it, so we don't have to trade everything. So because I wanted to have your graphical assistance, but you don't need my usability thing, for example, money is a very useful tool to make it even. And I don't want to dive too deep into this because I lose myself, and I really think money can be very, very dangerous a thing it can be a very dangerous thing. But really, if you keep in mind that money is only a tool, that really helps. And it helps because when you look at this, I don't know from which year this picture is, but I guess it was after World War II, somewhere in this industrial age, or I don't know, want to use too much of these words, because then you see that's how little I know about history. But it was somewhere in this time when you were really using your hands to make stuff. And we had those big factories where people were in there, and it really was like they had those 40-hour jobs and manual works. But today, especially in this room, I think we've all agreed on this before, is we're working with creativity. And if you really want to be creative, it's an absolute no-go to have a 40-hour week. That doesn't go together. This doesn't work. It's not like you're putting things together. Think about Daniel Pink, maybe you've read the book, Drive is called, where he's really talking about some experiments where if there's only labor work involved, where people need to use their hands and do something very straightforward, money is a very good incentive. It's really, give people money for carrying things, it will happen, it will help. But give people money to do a creative task that they need to come up with an idea, it hinders the process. They get less creative because they are, I don't know, I'm losing the words right now, but money is not a motivation to be creative. And the same is with the hours working. You can't be more creative if you work more. And I've read this in an article lately when, picture this, there's a girl sitting in a train, and she's basically driving this train every day. And it's a more hour drive, and everything she does is looking out the window. She's not reading, she's not using her smartphone, she's not doing anything. She's just looking out the window. What a lazy person, isn't she? But you know what? She's the author of Harry Potter. And again, I was too lazy to look the name up and I forgot it. Maybe
Joanne K.
Rowling? Exactly. She said in an interview that the whole plot for Harry Potter, all the characters, all the stories, they came to her when she was sitting in this train looking out the window. She wasn't there trying to invent some special characters. It came to her in a moment where she did nothing. Of course, it was a lot of hard work to write it all down. That's a different story. And that's clear. Another thing I like is, I love the Beatles, so I read a lot about them, and I love, I like John Lennon when he said that, I was trying today for 5 hours to write a perfect song. I was trying so hard, I was sitting down, working, thinking about it, nothing happened. Then I realized, maybe it's time for a break. I was lying down on the couch, and suddenly it came to me. Nowhere Man. The lyrics, the music, in a few seconds, it came to him, and then he had this great song. So, hard work, same stories with John Cleese, the comedian from Monty Python. He's telling the same things. And I'm experiencing the same thing. Whenever I want to do creative work, I'm just walking the park. And when I look at my work hours, I kind of, sometimes I'm a little ashamed and I feel guilty. But then again I realize, I'm not dying right now. It can't be that worse, that bad. And I really want to just tell you that working more doesn't make you more creative or get you better results. Not in a creative work environment. If you would just do labor work, that's perfect. Almost the last thing. Perfection is achieved not when there's nothing left to add, but when there's nothing left to take away. And that's really, I think that's perfect quote for minimalism, and I don't need to explain it a lot. But the thing is, you look for happiness in your life. I look for happiness in my life, and what I always think is, as soon as we're done with this big project, great, then I can finally be happy because then we've made it, and then we've done something. And if we as Simplees, if we could make a very cool product that a lot of people in this world would use, then we can finally be happy. Then it will finally be done. And again, the thing is, when I started at the beginning, I was thinking, when I will have my own company, making our own projects, then I will finally be happy. And now I am having my own company. We are doing our own projects. And still, I'm not happy 100% of the time. I have some phases where I'm lying in the bed on what is it, not afternoon, but earlier
Morning.
Yeah, not morning, but the Vormittag. Is this a special name for it? Okay, it's the morning. I just feel I'm not motivated to do anything. And, it's really like, And what you realize is that you won't reach perfection, or how I would like to call it, happiness or enjoyment or joy, because of some event that happens in the future. You have to be happy to be happy. It won't happen to you. That's not how it works. Because I'm not sure if this is the right slide right now. Nah, because now it's the elephant. But I'm doing it anyway, because the thing is, maybe I got the last two slides wrong way. Because I'm always like, I'm preparing slides, and I was thinking about this talk for weeks now. Every evening, the weekends, I was really thinking about it, talking to people about it, but when I started talking, I didn't really know what I was going to tell you. I just had this rough outline, and so things are changing a lot, and so it's not perfectly planned, so it's okay, I think. The thing is with this elephant, I think every one of you have realized this, that it's a metaphor for me, for you, for everyone in this room, and basically for every human being in this world. Because we are tied to this stick in the ground since our childhood. By society, by our parents, by our teachers, by our friends, by television, media altogether. Those are all those things that keep us back. And maybe we've tried once back then. Maybe we've tried to stop smoking, just to have one visual example. Maybe we've tried it. Maybe we've tried it a second time. Maybe a third time. But then suddenly we realize, I will never be able to stop smoking. That's just, I can't do this. And this is just one example for, I don't want to start with all the examples right now, I think you get the idea. But the real thing is, that's I think also with minimalism, that's how it kind of fits together, is don't forget about those memories and those old thought patterns and those old ideas that you have that form your reality. Think about right now and try it right now. If you can, for example, stay this day without smoking, probably you can make it this time, and if not, maybe the next time. And with everything, you can't rely on your old experiences. If you want to change something, if you want something to be better, you really have to try it now, because the old experiences, they are what keeps you back. As human beings, as mankind, human beings haven't always been mankind. We live on this planet for 200,000 years with the almost same conditions as today. And we formed mankind, I guess, like, what was it, 4,000, 5,000 years ago? With the first civilizations and stuff like this, with people settling down, with people building cities. We weren't there on the first day doing this. We failed a lot. Individuals were dying to the thousands, to the millions. But as a human species, we've always been evolving. And maybe right now, it's the space where or the time and place to really think, but is the way we're doing it right now, is it already perfect? Are we discontent with it? Are we happy with it? Can we do something about it? And I really think, this is for me, this is human species. I don't talk about individuals because I don't really care about them. We, as a whole, we are really this elephant tied to this tiny stick in the ground. And I really think that we can change a lot of things. And that's, with minimalism, is really like, we have to do it now, and don't rely on all the thoughts from the past, and the projections into the future, the ideas of, this is how human will probably be evolving, and this is how our ecosystem works, and how technology influences this. That's just ideas. Really important is now, and this is we have the power to do a lot. And, finally, that's, I guess, the last slide. Life is an attitude. Are we done? Okay, so really quick. If you want to be happy, you need to be happy. It's not something happens to you, no, I can't be happy and everything is cool. You need to learn it. It's not an easy thing to do. And if maybe some people don't like to hear it, but if you're in a bad mood, that's your decision. You can change it. Not something from the outside will change it for you. You have to change it. Okay, thank you.
Dankeschön. Are there any questions? Questions?
Why does your company have the name Simplease? What's the story behind that?
It's in the interview in the textbook, but the story is we started brainstorming. We found the company while being students, and there was this course, virtual companies, and we needed to start a company, and we needed a name, we needed a logo, we had to do this, and there was a deadline for it, and we found the name Simplicious. And cool, we are Simplicious, that's our company, and suddenly, after a few days or weeks, we realized Simplicious really doesn't fit to us, because it sounds like we were in fashion business or something like this. And if you look at me, if you look at Marcus, no offense, and the other guys in our company, we really wear clothes so that it's not cold. And so it didn't reflect on us. And we wanted a new name, and we were searching for weeks, months. I was reading this online book about Latin words, I think 3 times. Up and down, just to find a cool Latin word for our company, and suddenly we ended up with Simplease. Checked the domains, simplease.at was still available. Hey, change the name to Simplease, send a mail to the others. Yeah, Simplease sounds cool.
Okay,
that's it.
Okay. Simple.
Pretty simple, yeah. Pretty straightforward.
Any other questions?
Maybe also in German, because that's what was my decision to make it in English, because it doesn't matter to me. I'm making mistakes in German and in English, but if someone is more comfortable in German, that's perfectly alright.
German questions? Anyone?
How can you catch, wie schafft man es, andere zu begeistern von diesem minimalistischen Prinzip? Also das Problem habe ich immer.
Ja. Ich übersetze die Frage nur kurz.
Ja, bitte.
Ich bin schlecht im Übersetzen, übersetze es. Begeistern grundsätzlich ist bei mir so, ich bin so lethargisch gewesen meine ganze Jugend durch. Ich habe meine Zeit vom Fernseher verbracht. Oder im Proberaum oder so irgendwas, aber sonst vom Fernseher, und habe Stephen Henry und Ronnie O'Sullivan dabei zugeschaut, wie sie Weltklasse-Snooker auf Eurosport gespielt haben, und das über Stunden hinweg. Und wer Snooker schon einmal gesehen hat, weiß, wie langweilig das ist. Das heißt, weil mich alles angefuckt hat, weil es scheiße war irgendwie und langweilig alles. Und dann hat es aber jetzt irgendwann ist der Punkt gekommen, wo mich Sachen selbst begeistert haben. Wo ich begeistert war von ihnen. Und in dem Moment, wo ich dann richtig begeistert war von ihnen, kann ich beim anderen sagen, und der vielleicht auch begeistert, oder ich kann sagen, du bist der Depp. Aber die Chancen sind dann höher. Aber für mich war das Problem, ich bin selbst nicht richtig begeistert gewesen von irgendwelchen Sachen, dann hat es nicht funktioniert. Und so, wenn das dann funktioniert, dann hat es Sinn. Deswegen ist mir oft so peinlich, wenn irgendjemand hat eine Idee, hey, ich habe eine coole Idee für ein Projekt, machen wir das zusammen. Ich höre es mir an und dann denke ich mir, Gott, das ist eine scheiße Idee. Meistens. Von 100 Ideen finde ich 99 einfach nicht gut, und dann geht es auch nicht. Aber wenn dann eine dabei ist, wenn man denkt, boah, das ist eine coole Idee, dann geht es irgendwie von allein, dann fällt es nicht mehr schwer.
Ja, das stimmt.
Also man tut selbst gar nichts dafür, es passiert mehr mit einem.
There's kind of a trend in the creative and startup world to have these like productivity sprints and time-based exercises and stuff like that. Have you ever tried those? And
yeah,
because you talked about how actually the creative work doesn't come to you if you're in the office, but rather when you're doing something else. So I'm just wondering how you feel about those.
Mm. I was reading a lot of productivity books, for example. One was for me the Stephen Covey book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I don't know if anyone... I was reading this book and it was kind of a game changer for me, and I was really like, hey, I need to be more productive. And I think it's really important to do those productivity exercises to really be more productive. But the thing is, if you don't, I missed the word for Begeisterung. If you're not excited about something, productivity will only last so long. So you can have this method of MIT, most important task. I get up, at the night before, I write down the 3 important tasks for tomorrow, and in the morning I start doing this, and I really feel, yeah, I'm so productive and I'm doing something, and it only lasts for weeks. And after those weeks, if I'm not excited with what I'm doing right now, I don't care about productivity anymore. And I think the trend really goes there that we see productivity and think it's the answer. Being more productive is cool and this is great. But being more productive is really only useful if there's purpose in it. If you're really excited with it, then productivity can help you. And otherwise it's really just, it's a method, it's a tool, it can help you, it can excite you. Excite is a cool word right now. It can excite you a lot, but it will fail in the long run. So I really think it's useful, but you also have to do something you're really excited about. Excite.